Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. That's Joe Smith. Spurs 2, Manchester United 2. A bit of a crazy game there. Manchester United were leading, then we were losing. That meant then we get a late winner from equaliser from Matthijs de Ligt, who's been phenomenal since he arrived at Manchester United. By the way, we're going to get into all that. It's a bit of a mixed feeling today. I can see all that already from the chat. So make sure you're getting involved in the chat and the comments and giving us a like and a subscribe and all that jazz. Joe,
yes.
If we can go way back to the beginning, the team's announced a few changes. Dorgu coming in, Delo's dropped, no Sesko, it's like, which we kind of suspected. And then United obviously get that goal, that great headed goal from Brian Mbeumo. And for the first sort of 45, even maybe for the first hour, things were all right.
Yeah, it was a scrappy game, and it's always a scrappy game. Like, I know we all want to forget the Europa League final, but the way they won that game was being more physical than us.
Yeah.
They made it so we couldn't play out. They made it so we couldn't create anything. They were more aggressive, more athletic than we were. And they made a lot of fouls, and they won the game by doing that. Obviously, they've got a new manager now, but most of the squad is the same, and most of the squad know how to beat Man United. And up until recently, and even you could say now, that's the way to do it. We struggle against really heavy, hard teams where they're always on your back, always putting scraping the studs down your ankle. And then when the ref, if the ref leans their way a little bit, and I don't mean he was picking Tottenham, but if, on any given day, any ref can be a bit more lenient or they're blowing for everything. In the Europa League final, it was, I'm being lenient.
Yeah.
And that allowed Tottenham to gain an advantage. Today, it wasn't quite as extreme as the Europa League final, but the ref was letting stuff go a bit, which again, allowed Tottenham to build and build and build throughout the game. It's a system and a type of team that we really struggle against. And over the next 2 or 3 seasons, we have to equip ourselves so that we don't struggle against these sorts of teams as much. They're a really annoying team to play. But the difference between United this season and last season is that when we needed to, we created chances and we scored goals. And it's the stats and the numbers point to Tottenham being the better team today, but you cannot take out of the context that United were in the lead for 50 minutes of that game. From the 34th minute to the 82nd, more than 50 if you include the stoppage time at the end of the first half. Man United were the one in the lead. So if you don't score your chance, that XG, whilst it all looks good on a piece of paper, we're still in the lead, so we go again. And then when they did score, and I know they got 2, which was the annoying thing, United then responded, and once again, within 10 minutes of them getting their first goal, we responded with our goal. So that has to be taken into account, that we held the lead for a long time in that game, and that we had enough about us at the end to go and push back after they'd got the what looked like the winner. Now, there's loads of negatives and loads of things that we need to talk about as well in more detail, but I think on the bigger picture stuff, I'm glad that Man United are a team that, again, I mentioned it, when that goal went in, against Chelsea, against Sunderland, against Liverpool, against Brighton, against Nottingham Forest and against Tottenham, we've scored first in all of those games. What a fantastic trait that is to have, by the way. So if we can keep doing that, and then we eventually equip our team to be a bit more physical, the likes of Casemiro or whoever's playing in that position doesn't get tired toward the end of the game. It's a younger player with more athleticism. Maybe our wing-backs don't fade as the game goes on as well. We've got a much better chance of winning these sorts of games. But that's definitely an improvement over last season, where we just would get overrun. However, I'm sure we're going to go through, there's still a lot of things you need to question, because dropping another lead like we did against Nottingham Forest isn't good enough.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you've said, to be honest with you. Steve Doyle says, cannot persist with Bruno 8. He creates basketball games. He cannot play simple. We are always under pressure when we need to control a lead. Parag says, yes, we have dropped 4 points from winning positions in the last 2 games. However, it's good to see us having enough character to not completely fold and at least grab the equalisers. Michael Dyson, who's been a member of the Academy for 45 months, thanks for your support, Michael, says, Daniel and I are disappointed with the result, but you know what's not disappointing? Time with friends and some nice cold beverages. Yes. Come on, Reds. The chat is very mixed, which I think indicates the sort of the game itself. The fact that you are leading, the fact that Spurs are a bit erratic, their home record isn't good, the fact that we go behind and we kind of almost throw it away, but then we get an equaliser late in the game. It's a very mixed bag. There's some criticism, there's some praise, some people pointing out about Ruben Amorim.
How do you feel?
Dunkyo says, subs today, wah. Look, it was annoying that we didn't get a win, but I'm pretty satisfied with the fact that we've now had 5 games unbeaten, winning 3 of them, And I think the least I ask for a Manchester United team is to keep going, keep trying, keep fighting. And in the past, when things have unravelled at United, it's because we've lost that little bit of edge, we've lost that little bit of belief, we've lost that little bit of energy. And I don't think that's gone. No. So that's why that gives me comfort and that gives me optimism, cautious optimism, but still optimism. And I'm not trying to be all clever here, but everyone's criticising Ruben Amorim for the subs, right? Which we can get into. And I understand there's a lot of criticism for him because we made a load of subs when we were winning and we drew. So people go, well, the subs didn't work. And you can see that certain parts of it, you go, well, what's the point of that? I think he could have made some changes earlier. I actually think he could have. I actually thought Mount could have come on sooner. I thought Mount actually did well when he came on. And I thought Cunha, who I like, wasn't having his better games in that second half. And I think he was just... What he was trying to do wasn't what we needed at that time. He was trying to run with the ball from the edge of his own box. He was trying to do what, is great when you're winning or... Well, I know we were winning, but when you've got a comfortable lead or, even when you're chasing the game and you need something, you've got to take some risks. But when you've got a 1-goal lead, you don't need those risks. And it was a little bit like he was trying the wrong thing at the wrong times. And I think someone like Mount, who's not as exciting and sexy as Matheus Cunha, but is a grafter, will track back more, will do the simple things in his own half. I think we needed a bit more of that. The Casemiro one, I don't think that's a tactical choice. I think that's a player who's 33 years old who was goosed. Yeah. And I think that's why he did it. I think if Ruben Amorim had his way, he would have left Casemiro on forever, but he can't because he's knackered. Yeah. And I think that's the problem we've got with Casemiro. It's not the quality. It's never been about Casemiro's ability. He's one of the most talented defensive midfielders ever. It's about his legs. And I think what you're getting from him this season with 1 game a week is you're getting 70 minutes out of him, and he's all right with that, but then he's knackered. And he's against a very physical Spurs side. Yeah. So I think that substitution in itself isn't that drastic because I think it's sort of forced. The Sesko one, it made sense at the time. It did. And I don't think many people, you was on the chat, were saying, why is he bringing on Benjamin Sesko? It kind of makes sense.
And also, with the Sesko one, there's a massive temptation to look at what happened at the end and reverse engineer everything that happened before it to be an inevitable sort of sequences of things that ended up with this bad result of Sesko missing or not getting a shot away when he should have done and getting injured. But what else happened when Sesko was on is he winning a number of headers. The one he nodded down, or it wasn't a header, the ball that he won that went to Mbeumo, where I know in the end it was given a foul against Romero, but he could have been clean through on goal there. There was a ball that was played through by Mason Mount that almost put Sesko through on goal as well. There was the one where he was put through on goal. Like, if you look at a striker coming on and being more dangerous than the player he replaced, I think he was far more dangerous than the sort of amorphous Cunha Ahmad thing we had going on. And I know Mbeumo got a goal, so that's great. But in the 50 minutes after that, we barely looked like having a shot on target. No. And then Sesko comes on, and we did look like having a shot on target. So the fact that it's poor in that moment because the ball gets played through to him. What he has to do is let the ball go across his body to the side of his to the side where the defender isn't. And instead, he keeps the ball on the right. Van der Ven is on the right, and he gets the tackle and never gets the shot off. There's little things. Maybe he didn't trust his left foot. Maybe he's not sort of fancying that at the minute and he wants to make sure that I get my shot on my right foot. You don't have the time to do that. But I don't think that Sesko was terrible until he came off. And you cannot predict as a manager that a player's going to get injured and don't bring him on because of that, unless he was already half injured. But, that's a separate matter. Like, why would we assume that Sesko's going to get injured? I don't think he was bad the whole time he was on. And the half chances that he had were more than the no chances that we'd had in this sort of 45 minutes before he came on. So I think it's a little bit unfair on everyone there. And I think as well, like, I think some of the things that changed that weren't great. I think Ahmad does struggle to block crosses from that left-hand side or from that right-hand side. He's not a full-back, and when he's one-on-one, I think attackers have more of an easy time getting the ball past him, which we saw for the first goal. But we can't assume Mazraoui would have blocked everything either. And it had been coming a little bit. I think it's hard to hold leads when you're away from home and you're still fragile. Man United haven't won 60 games in the last 2 seasons. They've won about 20. Or, certainly last season was terrible. Yes, we've got a bit of momentum and we've improved, but we're not all of a sudden a team that is fantastic at scoring early, which we are fantastic at the minute, and holding on to leads, and punishing teams, and getting the second, third and fourth, and looking composed and wonderful the whole time. That was never going to be where we were this season. I think what we're seeing right now is, within reason, what I was hoping for. That we do score early. We do look so much more dangerous now. And Burmo doesn't take 10 chances to score a goal. It takes 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And yes, at times pressure builds against us and we struggle away from home against decent teams. But I think that's sort of understandable.
Yeah.
And let's try and turn these sort of draws and stuff into wins next time. But I think that United are massively improving. And the fact that there was a spell there where the game was really cagey and horrible and just shitty, that's what Tottenham love. That's what they're all about.
It is annoying that we sort of sunk to their level and it became that game. And it was a difficult watch. And I hate doing watch-alongs when it's like that, because you feel like you're being overly negative. But it's just how you feel at the time. It's just frustrating when you see player after player giving the ball away.
It's bad football, isn't it?
And we went from like a 20-minute spell where Bruno and Luke Shaw, Cunha were just giving it away. And I was like, you're just inviting pressure all the time. Like, we need a bit more composure. You know what I mean? You need someone who can just put the foot on the ball and just go, hang on a minute. Like, let's just calm it down a bit. Yeah. And there was none of that. It was like, you said it at one point, it's like it's the last 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and that was the 68th minute.
Yeah, and we're 1-0 up, and we were 1-0 down 93rd minute or whatever. You're like, what's going on? I'll go through some of the comments and then we'll come back to you, because I want to ask you a couple more questions. It says, hands up for the Panther, says, was reading chat. I'm calling out some fans in chat. Huge meltdowns, embarrassing. Some fans online need a life and stop the anger. Your life not dependent on United alone. 2-2 is good. Thank you, Ligt. Jacob Shat says, just like that, we aren't losers anymore. It's not the United we want, but there's no doubt closer. Your guy has to be the first admission of a mistake. Edward Bamba Ahmad is good enough to be back up to Cunha and Bumo at Cam, but not going to get far playing at right wing back. Need a proper one next summer. I'm not giving up on him now. Yeah. I think that's a bit premature. I think there's still a player there, to be honest with you. Harry Sinclair says, I think our depth is not great, but we are much better than last season. But other than Frank, we will be happy, because let's face it, if we offered the last 4 games the results we got, we would have taken him. Travis H has been a member of the academy for the 6 months, says frustrated, but at the same time, happy we fight back. With the fight back, crazy how bad we look when Casemiro isn't on the pitch. I agree with that. Stephen Doyle says, get Ahmad's name out your mouth, chat. Proper lad. Jordan Fraser, welcome to the academy. Brian Casey, who's been a member of the academy for 33 months, says, unbeaten in 5 games, but our fans want to focus on the negatives. Yes, we should have won today, but we could have lost. Progress on last season. You can see this is still a work in progress. You can see there's still sort of things that are getting ironed out and that we're still not there yet. We could have gone second, albeit briefly, today. And I think that would have been like, rah. But we know there's a lot more, it's a lot of issues to fix at Manchester United. And last season we finished 15th. This season we want to be challenging for them European places, which means you are going to win games, but you're also going to drop points as well. And I feel that's what's kind of happening. Well, it's just annoying we've got this international break and we've got to wait. It's bad enough waiting having one game a week waiting, but now we've got to wait for the next 2 weeks, which does my head in. I'll get some more chat and then I'll come back to you. Nick Hill says, if Gary Neville's saying words is enough to rattle Sesko, he shouldn't be at the club. The club isn't for babies. I don't think Sesko has particularly been rattled by Gary Neville. I don't know. Little by Little says 11 points in 5 games between international breaks. Top 4 form. Keep it coming, United. There's a link in the chat as well to some merch. A few people asking about merch. We've got merchandise there. You want to get some stuff for Christmas? One, by the way. Yeah. Thank you. I don't know why I'm saying thank you. Like it's like me that's made it. I'm just wearing it. But yeah, go and check out that link in the chat. There's a pin link. What do you think this means for Ruben Amorim? Like, I'm not saying it means much, but there's some criticism of his substitutes. There's some people saying actually it's not amazing, but it stopped the rot against Spurs. What do you think this means for the manager?
I think the subs thing for me. I think if you want to, you can boil every game down to the subs, because it's the post substitute 11 that ends every game. You can basically declare anything that happened in that time to only be down to the subs or only be down to the manager. I don't think United look any less likely to score after the subs came on. I think there was a spell between sort of 50 and 68 minutes or between 50 and 70 minutes where Tottenham were all over us. And I think between 70 and 90 minutes, I know that's when they got both of their goals, but I think it looked a bit less scrappy. I think United looked a little bit more dangerous. I thought Mount looked good when he came on. I don't think that we need to do a giant inquest into every substitution that happens, because when you make subs and you win, it was the subs' fault, or it was the subs get the credit. When you make subs and you lose, the subs are terrible. I just think United squad isn't that good that we're going to win every single game when we're in the lead. And the fact of the matter is, if you score first, it's always going to be you that, if you don't win, looks worse. You know, if you concede early and then you're the one pushing and putting the pressure on and putting the pressure on and putting the pressure on, like the City game, you know, we ended that game all over Man City, but it was irrelevant because we were 3 goals down. And therefore the subs aren't really called into question. The fact that the team that Amorim picks every week is scoring first and getting leads, that for me is far more impressive than the fact that we tend to end games, you know, not so well. That's because we're holding on to leads every week.
Yeah.
You know, we're soaking up pressure as games go on and go on and go on, which again, long term would be nice to not have to do that, and it would be push on for the second and third would be the way out of it. But when you score first, the games are going to get more cagey as time goes on, and therefore more emphasis will be placed on the subs. And if you don't hold on, which is really hard to do, then the manager gets blamed for his subs. Again, if this was the other way around, you wouldn't be blaming the manager because we would be the ones pushing. And like I said, once we were losing, we were the ones pushing. The dynamic of the game is entirely down to the scoreline. So I think that there's too much pressure and emphasis put on the subs. It's a shame Casemiro's not 26, but how long have we been saying that for? And I think that United, again, when we had to, find it a lot easier to score against Tottenham than they did against us. It took them 50 minutes to score against us. We got a goal back within 10. So I think there's a lot of positives, and I don't think it's all down to the subs that we conceded 2 goals either, personally.
No, I don't. Jody Pillin says, where was Martinez today? He's going to make a big difference, you know.
He's got to be back after international break, surely.
Look, I know Shaw can do a decent job at left centre-back, but I think Lisandro Martinez is just... I think he's different gravy. I really do.
Just be interesting to see how long it takes him to get back up to speed, won't it?
That's the thing.
A few weeks.
Fruits Lee Beats says, happy to take the point, fight until the whistle. J91 says, we still need a new left wing back, left centre back and midfield. Not enough technical quality to really control the game. How many times did it break down on the left?
Completely agree.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Red Devil says, we played Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs. After the Brentford game, we'd get 11 points out of 15. I'd have bit your hand off. Fixtures literally get easier after the international. Michael Kelly says, I think it's a great time for the international break. Work a bit more in training for the next 2 weeks. Alex Carey says, got to take the positives from that. Joe Finley says, need another midfielder. We are weak once Casemiro subs off. A lot of criticism as well for Ugarte. I don't think Ugarte's won any fans over, to be honest with you.
What was the problem with him today?
With who?
Ugarte.
People blaming him for... I mean... Some people blame him for the goals. I don't know
because he played Richarlison on side, but that's because he was going to challenge for the ball. He sprinted back, but I think
there's always a narrative, and you have to break that narrative. Yeah, sometimes
it's like the opposite of the Van de Ven one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the narrative of Ugarte is he ain't good enough, and we're worse when he's on the pitch. And regardless of how much he plays a part in that, it's like we're winning when he comes on, we draw. He's the reason behind that, and I think that started last season when he got dropped after West Ham, and it carried on. I think the cameo against Arsenal hurt him. Mm-hmm. I think his stocks went up a little bit at the Etihad, but not much. And I think now the sort of recurring theme is there's a drop off when Ugarte comes on, and he ain't good enough.
I need to watch the game back, and
I'll be kind to Ugarte and say the jury's out, and I've said that for ages. Coach Zach USMC Vet says, win your games at home, don't lose on the road. Stay on road, don't go on moors. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Make sure, if you're not doing so already, checking out Sloppy Joe's podcast. Go and check out all the other videos on the channel. We're going to hear from Andy Tate as well shortly. Plus, me and Joe have got a video coming out in the morning. So make sure you're hitting like, share and subscribe. And as I said earlier, there's a link in the chat to some of our merchandise. Go and check that out. That's been Joe Smith. I'm Jay Moyer. This has been a review. Manchester United, we get a point at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's not the end of the world, is it? Enjoy your weekend.